Hello, and welcome to my third mind map, which is focusing on the topic of classical conditioning. To start with, we're going to define what classical conditioning is. It is an unconscious process where an automatic conditioned response becomes associated with a specific stimulus. Now, I'm using the classic example of Pavlov's dogs to help illustrate this concept. Firstly, the UCS stands for the unconditioned stimulus, which is defined as the stimulus that produces the response naturally. In this example, it is the dog food. So naturally, a dog will salivate to the dog food. This is called the unconditioned response, which is the response that is an innate behavior of the animal. Moving on to the neutral stimulus, or the NS, the bell. This is what you condition the dog, in this example, to salivate to when paired with the unconditioned stimulus. The bell starts as a neutral additional stimulus to the unconditioned stimulus, but then turns into the conditioned stimulus in the next step. Now moving on to the final step. As soon as the bell rung when Pavlov walked through the door, the dogs knew that the food was going to be presented as well, thus leading to the conditioned response which was acquired through this process. In this example, the salivating of the dogs when they heard the bell. They had a conditioned response which was salivating without even seeing the food, which was their innate initial behavior. Pavlov had conditioned the dogs to react to the conditioned stimulus, the bell, instead of the dog food. Learning occurred gradually over several trials, called the acquisition phase. The speed and strength of the learning depended on when the bell was presented about the food during the acquisition. Pavlov found that if the CS was presented again after a delay, say 2 hours, the conditioned response would return, even though there had been no further pairings of the CS with the UCS. This is called spontaneous recovery, suggesting that the original association was still there but had been inhibited during the extinction phase. Another process that was found was stimulus generalization. For example, when Pavlov's dogs were trained to salivate to a 1000 Hz tone, they would then also salivate to a 900 Hz tone, even though these tones were not used in the training. Fortunately, another process called stimulus discrimination works in the opposite direction. We generally don't respond as strongly to stimuli that are only like the ones we've learned about directly, so we can tell the difference and we can distinguish or discriminate between the two stimuli. Thank you for listening.